Welcome to the HyperPod. Today we have Kirby, the co-founder of HyperCo. Excited to have you today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
What a great day to record this podcast.
Yeah, happy hype all-time high.
Did you think we'd get you so quickly?
Honestly, no. I thought it would be probably maybe in 2 more months, but this is really quick for me. How about you guys?
I mean, yeah, I feel like we went from 20 to 35 so fast because we were like chilling in the teens, and then I obviously I knew it was like inevitable for us to get to all-time highs, but yes, I think the pump from $20 to $35 happened a lot faster than I expected. I'm not complaining, but yeah.
It feels like yesterday that we were below 10 and all of a sudden we're at all-time highs, that with the Hyperliquid team talking to the CFTC. It all went so fast.
I think we went from the DD range to the Leonardo range.
Yeah. Maybe we could talk about that CFTC thing that just came out this morning.
Yeah. Kirby, what do you think?
So, I mean, we were looking into like the letter as well, the Google Drive. And I didn't realize this, but I think Max pointed out that a couple of names at the bottom of the document signed by different law firms. One of them was by this guy who was the former CFTC chairman. So I think that's pretty exciting to see. Yeah, I don't know what you guys think about like that CC part, because pretty new to like reading these types of letters.
Yeah, same. I mean, I just copy pasted the whole thing into ChatGPT and I added explain to me. But I didn't really understand, what does it mean that the old CFTC guy co-signed it? Like, does it mean that he agrees with it? Does he want Hyperliquid to be there doing that stuff? Or does it mean, like, is it just a legal requirement and he had to do it, Like, was it optional or?
Yeah, I think how I interpret it is that it's basically alignment, right? I mean, I think with the change in administration, there's been a lot of talk around like, how can a crypto project be sort of politically aligned without compromising on its values? And I think in this scenario, like the Hyperliquid team has taken the opportunity to obviously give commentary when commentary was requested, right, by the CFTC. Obviously we're all bullish and we're like, CFTC is like going to use builder codes to power 24/7 trading, which is a great bull post for Twitter, which is what I did. But I think it's more of an alignment thing. And like my personal read on it is I'm very impressed that they actually did it, because the political game is important. As much as like we don't necessarily want to do that, I think you cannot avoid it if you want to house all of finance, right? There's a reason like the BlackRocks and these other guys have such major political influence. And I'm not suggesting Jeff should go and like lobby like FTX did, but what I do think is important is like for them to have a say and to have a viewpoint and an opinion. And I think that's important.
Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, even while reading through their letter, I think in the back of my mind, it was overall their overarching goal to get Hyperliquid as the chain to house all of finance, right? So they're doing, it's very true and aligned to what they've been doing so far, just building. And then when, they also mention like CFTC is more open to perps than them releasing this, they're also just honoring like the institutions that are put in place. So I think it's really like nice to see this way that they've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things that excite me the most about this is, well, first of all, we already had last week Bloomberg talking about Hyperliquid. And now we have all this going on. It really feels like we're going to get a big wave of traditional finance guys coming into Hyperliquid. And imagine when they find out they can, in my opinion, when traditional finance guys find out that they can trade 24/7, even on weekends, that it's all transparent on chain and they can see what's going on behind the scenes. and they can open. Now they have examples of people opening 1 billion positions in notional size. They're going to be super excited to like try this new tech, in my opinion. Probably start with smaller size, but if it's all legalized and they're able to do this, we're going to get a massive wave of people coming into, well, not only Hyperliquid, of course, they're probably also going to try other things, but Hyperliquid is at the forefront of this movement now.
For sure. I think the only thing that might be lacking is a lot of them are not very much in tune with, like Rebby Wallet or all these different tools. So it might be a bit of a barrier still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's where Builder Codes comes in, right? Because, most people are probably not familiar with that, especially TradFi bros. And I think that's personally why I'm super bullish on Builder Codes. Like, we interviewed Pair Protocol yesterday. I mean, obviously they're building on Builder Codes, and I think you're going to see entire exchanges in other jurisdictions basically spin up with Builder Codes on the back end, right? Because I know, for example, in my country, in South Africa, like for a long time, like nobody could trade margin assets because of X, Y, and Z. But now that there's clarity, all of these, African, South African exchanges can actually offer that type of product with healthy liquidity to the user base. So yeah, I really can't see it slowing down.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's quite exciting about sorry, go Kirby.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of us, we are pretty much aware of Builder Codes as well, what it enables. But at the same time, I do feel there's a lack of understanding behind Builder Codes. So yeah, just trying to see and understand, what can be done to bridge the gap with like people who are out there.
Yeah, I wonder what Builder Codes could be called to be more traditional finance friendly. Like, because if somebody reads, you have Builder Codes and you can use them to build whatever, pretty much. But I feel like it needs to be simplified a bit more so that more people can use them, because as of now it feels like only Hyperliquid bros are into Builder Codes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And no, Killian, you're not lagging. I hear you pretty smoothly.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, we'll edit out all these small parts. So Kirby, I think next up, like, let's hear a little bit about your story. How did you firstly come into crypto, and secondly find Hyperliquid? And then you can tell us a little bit more about HyperRCo and how you guys started that.
Of course, for sure. So where to begin? I actually found Hyperliquid in 2023. That was, I think, early 2023, maybe mid-June, thereabouts. Heard of it from a friend, and for me, I've been quite a DeFi liquidity farmer, sort of. So I look for good LP deals. I look for decent yield. And at that time, Hyperliquid had HLP, right? So I looked into HLP. I saw that there was a vault where you can just put USDC and you can get 350% APR. To me, that is something that is amazing, right? Like, where else are you going to get 350% APR? So I tried it for 2 weeks, and sure enough, my money in my HLP grew. And then I decided to share with my channel. So I run a crypto alerts channel where I share news daily, where I put on actionables as well. And that was one of the actionables that I shared back then. And from there, the only concern I had was Jeff at that time wasn't very public. There wasn't much information available about him out there. And so I was still a little bit wary about the product. And then I caught up with a friend, Toli, from No Limit Holdings, and we met for coffee. We were talking about what he's bullish on and what I'm bullish on. And he said, just keep a lookout for Hyperliquid. And I'm like, okay, I will. So I went back and I did more research, and I got more and more bullish. And then from there, token was going to come, token 2049 in Singapore, and I was kind of made aware that the team wanted to come to Singapore. So I organized a brunch gathering for them in Singapore during the token in 2023. At the time, we had around 20-ish participants. I just brought in like some friends from like Galaxy Digital and a bunch of other funds, some individual angels as well. So we just gathered there, had a good meal. But most importantly, it was to meet the team. So the team came over, we chatted for a bit, and it was really nice to meet like Jeff and Ilians in real life.
Who was in the team at that point? Like, how many people were there?
I think it was already like their current like 10. It's always been like 8, 9, 10-ish. I believe at that point of time, Shilin was with them, just that I haven't met him yet. Yeah. So from there, they brought merch. we have the very first generation of Hyperliquid shirts that they brought all the way from the US over here. And yeah, that was really nice. But the only thing is the shirts were a bit prickly, so I don't really wear it out often. But after that, I applied to work with Hyperliquid, doing community, since that's my background. I was offered to work with them, but then I turned it down.
Bro, are you being serious? Did you really turn it down?
This is the major regret of my life. Like,
oh my goodness.
Any specific reasons you turned it down?
Yeah, I mean, it was a cash only position, which, I mean, it was a part-time cash position, like paid in USD, but in my heart and in my mind, I was thinking if there would be any equity, payout. But of course, it was a tryout role, so it wasn't like anything significant yet. And at that point of time, I was working with another project that was already valued at $1 billion. So, I mean, one team with no fundraise, the other team that already raised at $1 billion, like, who do you go with, But I had that position, yeah. So that was really like the beginning. And
so sorry, when was that? Was that in 2023?
This was late 2023, early 24. Yeah.
And like, sorry, you mentioned that. So is the entire team based in the US, or is it split between Singapore and US?
No. So previously in 2023, I think they were all mostly based in the US. But I think most of them have moved to Singapore, except for Shilin. I think he's still in like Northern America.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring it back because you said your background is in community building and that. So you started right away talking how you got into Hyperliquid and how you found out about it. But what were you doing before? Like, were you working for another crypto project, or you were working something not crypto related, and then you found out about Hyperliquid? Like, how did you go from, like, what were you doing community management for before finding about Hyperliquid?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, just to bring it back, I was a long time back, 7 years ago, doing volunteer work in Cambodia, and I was running out of cash by then. And so I needed money, and I simply typed find job online, and that's how I got into crypto.
That's a crazy Google search to find about crypto.
Yeah, so that really was like my first foray into crypto. And after that, I got into jobs working with projects like, like Algorand, Reserve Protocol, Near Protocol, couple layer ones, couple layer twos, but that was also with an agency called Hype Partners. So that was back then. And then after that, I began to work with Bybit, which is an exchange that was based in Singapore. So I did community for layer ones, I've done community for VCs as well as exchanges. So it's always been community building and all that. And then on the side, I've been pretty degen, like minted bot apes, minted mutant apes, pretty deep into DeFi summer as well, with like YFI, the CRV, all that type of stuff. So I was pretty early on, but I always take profit too early. That is my, that is the bane of my existence. I always take profit too early.
Yeah, I tend to have the same, that I tend to be at the right place at the right time, but I never really have the balls to commit and hold. I'm always too scared of round tripping.
Yeah, I think after different cycles, we kind of experience the round trips. So we try and like take profit really quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same guys that take profit and dump their hype, right? At like $5 to $10.
Yeah. How did you play when you, like, how did you play your Hyperliquid airdrop? Did you hold it? Did you buy at TGE, or did you sell some and then rebought some?
So I am not much of a trader, just to be clear. So I remember I was in Finland. It was like 8 a.m. and I was ready to ape in with maybe a couple hundred thousands. But at the same time, there was something keeping me from it because I saw it launch around 3. It dropped a bit to 2 plus. And I really wanted to click that button, but I didn't. And then when I didn't, it just pumped. Bro, no, it pumped all the way in like 4 or 5. I was like, okay, it's gonna retrace, it's gonna come back down. People are gonna dump the airdrop, and it didn't. Eventually, I bought more at 7, and I've held all the way to the last all-time high. When it came down back to 12, I bought more. Recently, at like 26 to 28, I sold a bit, but I have more hype than I've been airdropped, even right now.
Damn nice, well played, I guess. Yeah, for me it was quite. I mean, the Hyperliquid airdrop was the biggest thing that ever happened to me since I joined crypto, since 2020, and I don't know, I had never really seen that amount of money in my life. So when I received that airdrop, I kind of like was very emotional, of course, and I told myself, okay, let me take 50% out, and then I'll just hold the rest. And then I saw that it pretty much went up straight for 4, 5, 6 days. I don't remember exactly. And then it was at 20, 25. I was like, yo, this is going straight to 100. So I literally bought the Pico top around 25, 30. And just bag hold it until today. I did sell some on the way up and some on the way down. But overall, yeah, it's honestly, it's quite hard. That's something I realized because I'm not really a trader. I am someone that prefers investing in something and holding it long term. But when you receive just, let's call it free money out of nowhere, and it's so much, you kind of have to be good at still staying level-headed and logical about it, because you always think, oh, the day that I reach that amount or that amount, I'm going to do this and that. But then when you actually do, you kind of freak out, and it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? But overall, I think there's no other project that I feel so safe to hold, whether it's going up or down, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's awesome to hear that the airdrop changed your life. I think it changed many people's lives. And yeah, no self-shaming. People welcome to take profit wherever they want to, right? That's the beauty of it. But you're also able to buy at any price that you deem fit. I mean, if it gets there. So I think this is sort of like a great equalizer in a sense that you're able to get in at any price you want, as long as, I mean, of course it hits. But of course, you also don't have like the overhanging bags of people that were like 100x up, like with other protocols. So that's really nice. And yeah, you're right. Like hype, I think, is one of the more pristine assets to have in crypto. And my only bags are Bitcoin and hype, but also some like small hype outs.
Yeah, honestly, same. My biggest things are literally Bitcoin and Hyperliquid by far. I only have Bitcoin because I wanted to support a unit, Hyper unit, which I also staked with a 800.hl project on Hyperbit, UBTC vault, which is quite nice. But I wanted to ask because we talked how you got into crypto, how you got into Hyperliquid. At what point did you realize like to leave the other projects behind and what made it click for you that Hyperliquid was special and you wanted to go all in that echo to create HyperCo and that.
That's a really good question. I think for me, when I saw the community being built out, in the sense that people were excited for the project because they loved using the product, and more people started to use it, I think that got me pretty excited. Also, I was getting a lot of DMs from people who follow my channel, telling me how they enjoy using the protocol or the product. And I think because personally for me, I'm not a trader, so a perps DEX is not really how I envision, like using, or I don't use it daily. Let's say that. But when they share that they use it and it's something like a traditional C5 person would use, then that got me like pretty excited and thinking, what can I do to support it? And of course, having rejected like the initial job offer, which I regret, then my next thought was, okay, now that that's done, that's in the past, what can I do from here on out to support the ecosystem? And I think that HyperCo came about when I met Velocity and Noel at a cafe. So I mean, okay, so how this happened was I was supposed to meet 3 different people at different times at the same location. And then because of something that happened within my schedule, I had to arrange to meet all of them at the same time. And that's when Noel, Velocity, I, and another guy met and just like hung and had coffee. And then we were just talking about Hyperliquid and how bullish we are that is lacking like a Singapore community presence. So initially it was meant to be like a Singapore chapter of like the Hyperliquid ecosystem. But then after that, it grew to be much more as we expanded in, what kind of offerings we can do, what kind of things we can do for the community. It just grew over time.
Yeah, that's awesome, honestly, to hear. Yeah, going back to what you said about that, what made it click for you was seeing the community and how it was building. One thing I really loved about Hyperliquid is how organic it was, because as we all know, Hyperliquid team never put money into marketing or promotion or paying influencers or whatever. It was literally all just organic community talking to each other on the product, using it. And pretty much just it was all organic coming from the users. And the Hyperliquid team, as we all know, which we all make fun of it, is they're not the best at community building. And it was super. Also, when I started using Hyperliquid, I didn't even know it was a points thing. Like I was just using it for trading and losing money, of course. And I found out about the points when I literally think I heard about that I was collecting points and when they announced the May thing that the per airdrop. After the per airdrop, I was like, wait, what's this? And there are points ongoing, whatever. So I was using this platform just to trade, and then I found out about those points later, which goes to show, at least from my experience, that it was a great product, and a lot of us would still use it, even if it was there were no incentives like points or airdrop.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, on the points side of things, I think they actually told me about it like I think a day or two prior to the points, because I was like also trying to interview at that point of time for the role. But in my mind, I was like, at that point of time, everybody was doing a points system. So I didn't think at least that it would go far. Like, honestly, I really didn't think people would think about points or have a market for points or be buying points. Yeah, so it took me by surprise as well, like how the points translated.
Yeah. What do you like, Kirby, with your community experience? I mean, what do you think takes like Hyperliquid to the next level from here? Do you think it's just like self-arrangement of community members like in Korea and Singapore, Africa, Europe, like US, and everyone just continues to work together to grow the ecosystem? Or do you think at some point like the team, I don't know, steps in and does certain stuff? What do you think? Like how would you, if you were in that role in the HyperCore team, like what would you do now to take the growth of Hyperliquid and its ecosystem to the next level?
For sure. I think for a start, I don't think the team themselves will be able to fully support themselves because they are really lean. I mean, there are 10 people, mostly tech, working on like the product, just shipping features. I think what it takes is all of us that have bags and are aligned within the eco to support, right? So what that means is when we see something that's lacking, like maybe there's no no Hyperliquid presence in India, for example, then we step up and say, hey, I want to take the lead on this. Let me connect with one or two other guys and see how we can pool our resources and work together to support like HL on this side. I think everything we've done so far is seeing the lack and then trying to be the solution to the problem, right? Like for example, the NFT OTC market is something that we saw there's no actual trusted provider out there, or not much. And HyperCo as a brand was beginning to get visibility and trust. And so we were thinking, is this a gap that we could fill? And it's a very low hanging fruit, but it's something that we just try and offer as a service to people. It's not something that we do, for profit or anything like that. It's really how can we serve the eco? How can we make people, or how can we support people within the ecosystem? Same goes for Reddit, YouTube, LinkedIn. We're trying to develop presence in all of these different platforms as well, because we've seen how there's so much yapping on Twitter, but the holder count remains the same. So I think there's a lack in getting new people on board. And what that takes is different people sharing in their different circles, taking it to LinkedIn, taking it to Reddit, having conversations there. I think that's what takes HL to the next level. And in terms of like regional stuff, I think it's really for people to self-arrange.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I agree with the part that it's more up to us as bag holders and community to take initiative like you did with HyperCo, and how that's why we started this HyperPod, because it felt like there was no Hyperliquid native podcast. And it's up to the community to find the initiatives to spread the word about Hyperliquid, and not really to pump bags or anything, but it's to share the vision and how Hyperliquid changes. I think Hyperliquid really does change crypto from a outsider perspective, but it's up to us to share that vision and to make other people understand why it is different compared to all other projects.
Yeah, I think something we collectively should work on is like more educational material and tutorials and stuff, because I tried to onboard, was helping one of my friend's brothers onboard, and he's like a little bit younger. He's like, I think he's like 20 years old. And basically, the step between going from his Bybit account to Arbitrum and from Arbitrum onto Hyperliquid was just like, it was just too much for him. And like, I know it's trivial for us, but like trying to explain to him, okay, like Arbitrum is like a layer 2. Okay, what's a layer 2? No, it exists on a layer 1 called Ethereum. And it's like, wait, what's the difference? And then, like on the withdrawal part, there's like Arbitrum and Arbitrum 1, what's the difference? All of those type of friction points still exist for users. So it really isn't as simple as like, hey, here's the link, and they'll know exactly what to do. And I think that part is still critical to help people to onboard. So, it takes like video tutorials, written content, and then like Kirby said, putting it on the platforms that don't see crypto Twitter. So like LinkedIn and like on Medium articles and going into Reddit and, speaking there where like there are other people that would be interested. They just quite frankly haven't heard or don't know how to bridge.
Yeah. And this makes me think that it's all true, but then again, Hyperliquid is like the backend. The team is building the backend where the new financial system is going to be built, right? So it's not really like as community, it's not like we have to shield, for a lack of better words, this to like our brothers, sister, but it's rather to people that are going to build on it, because then it's up to these projects to pretty much Hyperliquid connects to the teams building on it, and then the teams building on it are the people that onboard more people. I don't know, an example in Web2 would be, it's not like people know Cloudflare, but 90 or Amazon Web Services, but 90% of websites are actually built on top of this stack. But it's not like if I tell my dad that he's using Amazon Web Services, he knows what it is or cares. What do you think about that? Like, do people have to know about Hyperliquid, or it should be a purely back-end thing that people don't know about, but teams build on it?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I think both can exist at the same time. So, of course, the core subset of all of us who are actively on it, using HyperEVM, getting involved in like all the different protocols, maybe hunting shitcoins as well. But I also think there should be a subset that, if they are like grandmas who want to earn maybe 5-10% on USDC, and they're able to, do a delta neutral trade and be able to get it, and all this being abstracted away for them just to earn yield. I think that would also be something that is super exciting. And all this will just be enabled on Hyperliquid without them knowing. I think that's pretty cool. But then there's also the other side where if they want to go deeper, they can actually like read up more, learn more, and then go right into it. If they want to possibly save fees, if they want like better, like rates for their trades, for example. So I personally believe like with builder codes, it'll enable a lot of different people who don't know it's on Hyperliquid. Like there's a few projects out there that are building right now that you wouldn't know if they're building on Hyperliquid or tapping into the liquidity. I think both groups can coexist.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm interested in your thoughts. Like we typically obviously talk about the bullish parts, but I'm interested in your opinion on what do you think the Hyperliquid team could do better, and maybe some things that are lacking at the moment where either the community could step in and play that role, or maybe the team can improve on some areas.
Yeah, for sure. I think Hyperliquid team so far they've been pretty headstrong. Like they've been down and focused on building, but something that might be lacking, and I've heard this feedback multiple times, is for developer support. Because I think what it tends to happen is if there's an issue, people go to Discord and ask, and then maybe they get an answer, or maybe someone else helps them. But there's no like core internal person where they can go and talk and figure things out with. Right now, everything is either in the docs or like with Discord and other builders supporting each other. But I think it would be better if there's someone like on the team that is able to help with like deeper technical questions. I'm not sure. I think you're building on Hyperliquid as a builder too. So like, is that like a point that you see that it could be improved?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, you go.
All right. I was saying I completely agree with you because I'm not a builder, but I always stay up to date with new projects launching or new teams wanting to build on Hyperliquid. And it does feel that there is a bit of gap between them asking a question and receiving the answer, because most of the times I just see them pinging Julian on Twitter or on Discord, but yeah, sometimes on Discord you either receive an answer or you don't, and when you do, maybe it's not the team, but it's someone else from the community. And yeah, pinging a team member on Twitter, it's not always the most effective way to get your answer. So yeah, I completely agree with what you said about being a point of improvement.
Yeah, I think for
Yeah, for
us
sure.
as we've been building out Hyperbeat, we've tried to fill that role because obviously it's not possible for Julian to answer all the questions. And so like with every team, we've tried to bring on from Ethereum mainnet, and like any questions they had, we just answered it directly. Or if we didn't know something, we asked others and we got back to them. Or we set up groups with like the RPC providers, and basically anything that they needed, we just connected them. So yes, I would say like us and other teams are fulfilling that role, and we are sort of being a BD team for Hyperliquid ecosystem, because I just think that's the right thing to do. But at the same time, yes, like sometimes, you know, for like blue chip teams coming from Ethereum, oftentimes, you know, they're so used to speaking like to someone from the foundation and like the foundation person helping them and giving them what they need, that if they don't receive that, it's almost a bit weird for them, which I think thus far hasn't been the biggest issue. But obviously as we scale, and if you're going to have, you know, if you're going to have like different platforms completely unrelated to like crypto Twitter and Hyperliquid Twitter, trying to build using the Hyperliquid stack, you need sort of those DevRel guys to like be at the core and be able to help these different teams across the world in different time zones to, you know, to help them. So yes, the community is playing that role, but obviously I think if you don't have that sort of I am the Hyperliquid team badge, oftentimes, you know, people don't really like respect you or take you as seriously.
Yeah, 100%. So, guys, if you're hearing, please hire a dev reel.
I will pivot to DevRel. Julian or Jeff, if you're listening.
And I'm available for a job, Julian or Jeff. But yeah.
Oh, Jeff, by the
yeah.
way, if you're listening to this, you're welcome to join on the podcast.
Yeah.
Bullish. Yeah, I guess any other questions? I think maybe Kirby from your side, if you want to ask something.
I did want to Hyper NFTs OTC, since Kirby is the man that has been handling all these OTC deals. What do you think about the Hyper NFT? What's your this is speculation, of course. Do you think they're going to be all the same and with some utility, or do you think it's actually going to be a legit collection with like different traits, different rarities? Maybe the more rare ones are with the people that had more points. And yeah, what do you think overall about the Hyper NFTs?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I don't think like the team, just seeing how they've been doing things so far, I don't think they will show biasness. So I think it'll be a randomized drop to like wallets. I think there'll be rarity and tiers, similar to how there's like wooden tier all the way to like diamond, platinum tiers. In terms of what type of utility it gives, this is something that I have no idea and I'm unsure. But I'm pretty sure if they wanted to, they can figure a way. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense to have to add additional utility on top of the NFTs, especially when stuff like fees are getting so low with like the staking tiers. Yeah, maybe there could be additional other benefits, who knows? But I don't really want to speculate because, yeah. What do you think? You're curious to hear as well.
Yeah, I agree. I am pretty sure that there's going to be, like, it'll be a random drop. So even if you be related to your point supply, I fully agree there. As for like the utility behind it, I have no idea. I really don't. I am not even sure if they want to add that. Like maybe they don't. Like there's so many ways they could take it, but I really have not even like heard one rumor or like sensed anything from the team even speaking about it. So I'm fully speculating, but I'm very sure that they're going to sell for like more than 100K plus once it is live. So that's what I'm sure of. So I think OTC prices right now are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Did you guys get flooded out of pressing the checkbox next to I won the Hyper
No
NFT?
ways. No worries. I clicked that thing ASAP.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Honestly, I never really read things. The only thing I've ever read in my life were the terms and conditions of the Hyperliquid thing. That was the one thing I actually read from start to bottom.
Wow.
I guess last question for me is, what's next? What excites you most about Hyperliquid, and where do you want to see it go from here?
Well, the end goal is blockchain to house all of finance. We are here to support however we can. As long as like Hyperliquid can achieve its goal of housing all of finance, we are just doing whatever we can. We're seeing any plugs that's missing and we're trying to fill the gaps. But it's a 3-man team and we are doing this voluntarily. We're not making any money. Everything just goes back to treasury, which just goes back to seed liquidity for new protocols, or even go towards our in real life events, or even sponsoring and supporting the localized communities. So I think for us, we just want to support and see what we can do. If there's anything that's lacking, we try to fill it, but also open if anyone else wants to hop on and fulfill anything that's lacking within the ecosystem.
Amazing. So we usually finish off our podcasts with some bull postings. So if you could give us a price prediction of what you think Hype rallies to by the end of 2025, and then zooming out in about like 2 or 3 years, where do you think Hype trades?
Yeah. Do you want my like meme prediction, or do you want like the real prediction?
I want your personal bullish thesis for this.
Sorry to interrupt 1 second, but I'm at the new house and I have to go get a delivery package.
Okay, for it. Yeah, you can drop. You can drop.
Yeah,
go for it.
I think this year, if everything else goes well with like the macro conditions, 100 for Hype, I think it's doable, which would remind me of the Solana from 20 to 100 within 2.5 months back in, I think, 2023, 24. I think that would be very similar. And then beyond that, I think if we definitely trade on or about the same price as Solana or more, just because as more utility is being built, I think there's a lot of catalysts that has yet to happen still. For example, we're not listed on any major exchange. That's one. Right Precompulse as well. We're still waiting for it. And then we also have all these different, just so many catalysts. I just think 100 is like the start, and then possibly more, 250, 3 in the next cycle. How about you? What do you think?
Definitely. Yeah, I think, like we all suffer from anchoring bias. So like 100 is a round number. So we're like, yeah, definitely 100. But I think like my point with the on-ramps, I think is very critical to get sort of more of retail in. A lot of institutions that I've at least spoken to, there's sort of this hesitancy because of what happened with like FTX. So you're taking on a lot of platform risk, right? So, if someone like Unit Protocol builds a solution similar to Clearloop from Copper, and I have spoken to Shoku and to JJ about that, and I believe they are building it where basically you can deposit BTC or sort of native ETH or native SOL onto Unit and trade it, but then the underlying basically gets swept to a trusted custodian like HyperRCo or Kobo or one of those, or Copper. And so then you can trade basically in a safe way and avoid the platform risk. I think once things like that is in place, then then we're really set to push to like $200 plus. You know, like FTB is sort of like a meme in the sense that like the token distribution is just fundamentally different to everything else. So you don't have a lot of the natural sellers that you would have in another ecosystem. So that's why, you know, in my head, I'm trying to like move away from saying, okay, the relative valuation to Solana or Ethereum like limited, but in reality, you know, if Hyperliquid was to get to that point, the amount of buybacks would be probably like $10 million plus a day. And you don't have this like super high staking rate like Solana, where, you know, all of the validators and the recipients, they are natural sellers of their staking rewards. So, you know, things like that make me think it can go a lot higher than we realize. So, you know, I don't want to be like your like number one pull poster, but I am not selling my hype anytime soon. So, yeah.
100%. I mean, who needs USD anyway, right?
Yeah, bro. Who needs USD anyways? But Kirby, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast today. We appreciate you joining, and yeah, have a good one.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you guys running this podcast. It's a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Cheers, man. Bye bye.
Cheers.